So good day everyone. My name is Lira Macias and I'm going to discuss the topic strategies, written feedback, and oral feedback. When we say feedback, ano ba yung kadalasan na pumapasok sa isip natin? Di ba kadalasan it is about feedback sa survey, opinion, result, idea, rating, comment, response, or even advice, right? So let's proceed to the real meaning of feedback. Feedback is providing information to an individual which focuses on their performance or behavior. Feedback is an essential part of education and training program. It helps learners to maximize their potential at different stages of training, raise their awareness of strengths and areas for improvement, and identify actions to be taken to improve performance. So si feedback, important part siya ng learning experiences natin. Dahil it helps you to develop your learning, lets you know how you are doing and what could be done better. Next, types of feedback. Here I have 3 types of feedback, which are the affirmation feedback, developmental feedback, and effective feedback. But first, let's proceed to affirmation feedback. Affirmation feedback is provided as soon as possible after a performance has been observed. By definition itself, your affirmation will be personal to you and is specific to what you want to achieve or change. For example, well done, Ben. You observe safe working practices while preparing for your project. So that's the feedback. And next is developmental feedback. Developmental feedback goes beyond simply telling an employee what he or she did well and badly. For example, Nancy, it was nice, but I suggest next time when you stretch paper, use gum strip instead of masking tape to secure the paper to your drawing. In this feedback, in my example, the prof or the boss complimented Nancy, but he or she suggested that she can use the gum strip instead of masking tape to improve her drawing or to secure the paper that he or she doing. Next is effective feedback. Effective feedback is tailored to meet the needs of the individual and is directly linked to observable evidence, either a listener's written or practical work or performance of a given task. So as you can see, there's a picture in the right side, how to give effective feedback. Of course, when you are giving a feedback, you should be specific, be sincere, offer help, and timely. In this way, you are giving time and showing that you are interested in what he or she is saying, that you are giving attention or you are paying attention in what he is doing or saying. So let's proceed to the written feedback and oral feedback. Written feedback needs to include information about where the students has met the meaning intentions and or success criteria and where improvement is still required. Effective written feedback provides students with a record of what they are doing well, what needs improvement, and suggested next steps. Effective written feedback also needs to be timely written in a manner is understandable to the students and actionable so that the students can make revision. So, why is feedback important? Feedback is an essential part of effective learning. It helps students understand the subject being studied and gives them clear guidance on how to improve their learning. So that the written feedback can be a powerful tool for helping students to move forward in their learning. And written feedback has the advantages that the student can refer to it over and over again. Oral feedback. Oral feedback is one of many communication forms where students receive feedback from their teachers who either corrects them implicitly or explicitly or ask them to clarify what they say. And teachers use different methods to help students acquire the tools needed to learn English or any other subjects for that matter. One method is oral feedback, which is used to immediately encourage students or correct them when making an error. So, there are characteristic features of effective oral and written feedback, which are clarity, specificity, and tone. First one is clarity. Clarity, the criterion for clarity is whether the writing or speech would be clear to the individual students. Example of good feedback clarity is using simple vocabulary and sentence structures, writing or speaking on the student's developmental level, checking that the students understand the feedback. Siyempre sa clarity, hindi tayo pwede magbigay ng feedback na alam naman natin na bata lang yung pagkasabihan natin ng ganun. Tapos yung mga words na gagamitin natin is sobrang mabulaklak or flowery na ganun, na hindi nila maintindihan. So, syempre, dapat kapag magbibigay tayo ng feedback, kailangan natin tanungin yung students natin kung naiintindihan ba nila yung sinasabi natin. At syempre, gagamit tayo ng mga simple vocabulary words na kung saan makukuha nila or magigets nila yung point natin. Next is specificity. Kagaya ng sa Goldilocks na principle nila is not too narrow, not too broad, but just right. Example of good feedback specificity is using a lot of nouns and descriptive adjectives, describing concept or criteria, describing learning strategies that may be useful. Siyempre, sa specificity, kailangan mo maging specific and alam mo kung ano ba yung concept and criteria. Kailangan mo na sa kanilang sabihin kung ano ba yung mga dapat at saka hindi. Next is the tone. Tone refers to the expressive quality of the feedback message that and it affects how the message will be heard. Kung paano ba maintindihan or makukuha ng mga students or ng mga listeners natin yung way ng pagsasabi natin nun. Kasi minsan sa tono ng pananalita, doon mo pala malalaman mo lang kung sincere ba to, kung galit ba siya sa mga sinasabi niya, or alam mo na yung pino-point out niya. An example of good feedback tone is using words and phrases that assume that the student is an active listener, asking question, sharing what you are wondering about. And dito naman, asking questions sa kanila kung by simply pagtatanong ng naintindihan nyo ba? Baka may mga katanungan kayo, huwag kayong mahiya. Ganun. By simply doing that, maano mo na talagang nagpipay attention ka sa kanila. At syempre, sharing what you are wondering about. Kung ano ba yung mga gusto mo pang sabihin, it is, feel free to say what you want to say. Kung ano ba yung mga gusto mo pang i-clarify para mas malinawan pa sila. And lastly, to sum up, syempre, sa pagbibigay ng feedback, kailangan mo maging be clear, be specific, and adjust tone kung kinakailangan. So that yung feedback na mangyayari is in a positive way at saka maganda yung kakalabasan. And that's all. I hope you learn from me from this topic. And thank you and God bless us all.